The last piece is branding to attract talent and build culture. So we'll talk about the branding aspect when it comes to employees. Most people think that the value of branding is attracting customers. And true, when there's tons of talent out there for you to choose from, that is very true. But as my friend Michael Lee said about 3 years ago, said the next couple of years is going to be a battle for talent. Is what firm can attract the most talent? That's the one that's going to survive. And man, oh man, he was so right. He is so right. So I think it's great that he's here also. What if you are an accounting pro solopreneur and is this relevant to you? So number one, very hard to scale without collaborators. And I'm using the word collaborator because I'm stealing this from a friend of mine who always talks about employees as collaborators because she thinks the word employee and team, it's kind of outdated, and each company should have its own brand when it comes to how they call their employees. So she uses collaborator as a generic term that evolves around employee and staff and team. So it's collaborator, but without collaborators, it's very difficult to scale. Secondly, if you never hire anyone, you will have clients that need some advice in this area. So you got to understand, the pain points of someone that has employees. So even if you graduated of college and started your business and you've been doing this for 30 years and you never had an employee and you don't know anything about this or care about it or think that you will never need to, at least understanding this should give you some idea on how to advise your client, how to point them in the right direction. Businesses with employees, this is a really important thing. Businesses with employees can generally afford to pay more for accounting services. I could tell you firsthand, a construction company with 15 employees will pay a lot more than a single graphic designer. Just the level of complexity when it comes to accounting and accounting systems and delegating and error rate when multiple people are touching the system, it's much higher with more employees. So you are probably going to want to grow your accounting firm with bigger clients, and they're probably going to have employees. And how are you going to relate to them, right, when it comes to advisory? How are you going to be efficient at managing all these different types of communications from all the employees coming to you? You being able to serve them is going to be very difficult. So no matter what, if you have any sort of trajectory growth, you have to look into employees. Michael, any color commentary on this one?
No, this is really insightful, and you just hit it spot on. Being able to talk the language of growth, especially around labor, and hiring employees, is going to be key. It's going to be a challenge, not just in the accounting industry. It's a challenge, as we've seen all over the U.S. for all small businesses.
Yeah.
And it really pertains to whether or not you actually employ them or they're contractors. So when you think about this topic, don't think about it in the realm of, well, I'm never gonna have a payroll, or I'm never gonna put anybody in payroll. This is resource management on who is working with you. Right. How you treat them or what you call them is a different classification or conversation. This is more about how do you make yourself a place where people are fighting to work for you and work with you. How are you the kind of person? I'm sure, Hector, I'm sure you get a lot of people that reach out to you that want to partner with you, work with you, do different things with you. And the reality is, it's because you've created a brand for yourself to attract those kinds of people. Some of whom you don't want to hear from, but a lot of whom you do want to hear from, and you want to consider partnership, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So the same thing with the individuals on this call, any of us as accounting professionals, we want to be the kind of professional where people are banging down our door to work with us, for the opportunity to work with us.
Right.
How do you create that kind of environment? What do you do to create that?
Even if you're not ready now, just build the momentum, build that goodwill. Exactly. So let's talk about the type of collaborators. And I call it employee versus contractor, but there's more to this. So a lot of folks, and this is something that, and I'm sorry to say this, a lot of accounting firms, especially when they're getting started, they're like, I just need a part-time person to take some of my overflow. And look, there are situations where a part-time makes sense, where someone's life, there's so many things going on, and their only source of income will be your part-time job. I'm okay with that. I am totally okay with that. But at any point in time that a part-time person, it's part-time because they have a part-time somewhere else, that is the worst. That is the worst you can do. So when you have a full-time employee, they're all in. There's no time for side hustles. They're not distracted. All their learning and growth you invest into them, it's available for you to leverage, not for others to leverage. When you have a part-time employee, yes, great short-term solution. The person has their head in two places. It's not possible for them to be effective because they have to switch in the, like, think about how difficult it is for you to switch from client A to client B. Think about that. Just that switch has an efficiency cost. Your employees are also switching from employee A to employer A to employer B. That has the same level of switching costs. And if you teach somebody how to be good, you're teaching them how to be good for other people. And if they're being taught how to suck and bad habits, you're bringing them from other firms. So I never liked part-time employees. They're unlikely to be career-minded, and they're more likely to be a resume builder. And that's a big issue because there's a lot of people out there that are simply just resume builders. Like, I'm just going to work for Deloitte for a year, so then it looks like I have Big Four experience, and then, jump to the next thing, right? So again, very difficult to find partner-like a person that works like that. Now, a contractor, similar to part-time employee, but I have found that there are ways to build partner-like relationships with contractors when the work is piecemeal, and then the contract has conditions where the contractor suffers in the same proportional level as you suffer from a mistake. Okay, so when the contractor agrees that if the customer dislikes the work, whatever you would do as a firm leader to satisfy the customer, such as don't worry, we'll rework it, or don't worry, we'll assign it to someone else, or don't worry, we'll have a second set of eyes looking at it, or whatever it is, or we'll workshop the solution. You have to make sure your contractor is in with you on that, and then they're also willing to pay for it or not charge for the extra rework time. Now, this is going to change the way you work with contractors. Contractors that have this mentality will charge a percentage of what you charge. Almost always it's going to be like that. The ones that are the opposite, they would just be like a part-time employee. They'll give you an hourly rate, $50 an hour, $40 an hour, whatever. Almost no contractor at an hourly rate will rework or do it again for free unless they accept that they made the mistake, and almost always no one really accepts them making mistakes. So if you're going to want to build a partner-like relationship with a contractor, it needs to be worked in such a way that it's a partner. It's a partner, like you're in the project together. Michael, have you had any experience with contractors in your journey?
Yeah, for sure. And I like to say that contractors, as you said, Hector, you can really build good relations with contractors because there really is less investment into a contractor. You're going to hire a contractor because they know what they're doing, right? Generally, contractors are not people you have to train. They use their own equipment. They're set up to serve you. A contractor relationship, technically, you now are their customer, right? They're a vendor, you're the customer. So a contractor, a good one, sees you as their customer, and they're going to serve you as the customer and partner with you to serve your customers. That's a good contractor. So you can build in these incentives to grow business. You can build in incentives to make sure the work is done right. And generally, contractor agreements also require insurance, because if a contractor does something wrong or can't stand by their work, just like you as a business have insurance, they have to carry insurance. You can make a requirement for them to have professional liability insurance. Very different than employees. And as Hector said, I've found it challenging to have a complete loyalty from part-time employees, primarily because they have split focuses or split priorities in their lives. Now, oftentimes that might be related to family. And so, for those of you who are small and growing and you wanna find some employees, I started out with part-time employees. I get it, but when I started really growing and scaling, I had to convert to full-time only. What you'll learn, and what you quickly learn as you grow, is the amount of effort you take to manage and admin a part-time employee is exactly the same as a full-time employee.
And you get half the return on investment. And you get
half the return. So you have to still meet with them. You still have to check in on the client work. You still have to see how they're doing. And yet you're not fully leveraging the full-time hours to get the return. And I also see part-time employees as an option when you're unsure about the level of experience or quality of that employee. So you want to give them a probation period or test them. I often see people trying that out as well.
You mean like a trial period, something
Yeah,
like
a trial period. Yeah, you say, hey, look, I'm unsure about your skills, or maybe you're green, and you know what? We want to give you training, but I don't want to pay you full time for that training period. So I'm going to part time and pay you hourly or part time hourly to do the training and to get up to speed. Then I'll convert you to full time. So a lot of situations where part time may make sense is you have a transition period of I want to get them up to full time, or they're leaving part time employment somewhere else, and you're agreeing, hey, I will take you on if you commit to transitioning to full time. But I do see full time, and I agree with you. Full time is really the preferred. And then if not full time, a contractor status where they share in both the success and the failure of the client work.
Absolutely. And the last one here is a referring partner. Sometimes you can have a non-commercial relationship where there's mutual benefits because you refer each other, your target customer, your specific expertise. Those might be really great as well. I mean, even though you don't get any money per se for sending, a CPA, the tax return when you don't do taxes, because the nice thing about that is a lot of customers like dual relationships. They like two set of eyes. They like two professionals working in their file. Now that there's also the argument for the other side of the coin, right, where customers just want one, what they call it, one throat to choke, right? They don't want the finger pointing. But if you frame it as, hey, we have this dual relationship, two different professionals working on this, and we refer each other work, there's a lot of value there too. Okay, let's talk about the types of candidates. And Michael, I think you're going to find this one kind of fun. I think that you can separate the candidate based on which question they're looking for the answer for when they're applying to work with you. So these are the 6 questions. One is, will this job, or which job will look best in my resume, right? Some people, there's a lot of people that they apply only because this is the primary question in their mind. The second one is, which job will pay me more than what I'm getting paid now? And really what I mean by that is they already work somewhere else, right? This is not a fresh off college type of thing. The look best from a resume is more the fresh off college mentality, but this is they're already working somewhere else and they're simply just looking for more pay. The third one is, which job will help me grow as a human being or a professional? Now, these are more evolved human beings, but trust me, these people turn into pay, once they realize how much value they create for the business, which is okay. But if this is the primary question, that says a lot about who the candidate is. The fourth one is, which job will grant me more freedom? Many people are looking to get out of a great job to maybe a job that maybe doesn't seem so great on the surface, but it grants them freedom. It allows them to have more flexibility on their schedule, more time off, that sort of thing. The sixth one is, which job gives me the most job security through retirement? And you see a lot of folks already like in their mid-50s and in their 60s, rather, that you can employ, that they're not really looking for this super huge scalable growth. They're just looking for something that, hey, I want a job that I can handle, that is not so overwhelming that, there's some new things and I'm willing to learn them, but I don't want a gazillion new things to land on my lap. I just want to know that I'm walking into something that I know how to do and I can cruise through retirement. And that, by the way, that could be 10 or 15 years. I'm not saying it's so close to retirement. I'm just saying some people have that mentality where they're done with the hustle and bustle of the work, and they're just they're okay financially, and they just want something to do, and they want to be a valuable member of society, but they're not looking for that push. And it's important for you to identify them because, again, any of these could be good hires. I'm not saying they're not. Any of these could be. You just need to understand where they are so you can build a path for them that is customized, right? And I have no issue laying out these 6 questions in front of the potential candidate and ask them, hey, which is the most important question you want answered from this job? And the last one is, and sometimes this is the more sort of aggregate one, which is, which job aligns with my life's higher purpose, beyond pay, beyond flexibility, beyond freedom, beyond retirement planning? Like I have a cousin who went to work for a company that pays her crap, right? The schedule is super unfortunate. She had to move somewhere that she doesn't like, but that company, represents what like what means a lot to her, like her passion, about animals and being a vegetarian. I forget what the details of that is, but whatever. That's a really important piece, right? Like if the company really, really tightly aligns with something you feel passionate about, you might attract that type of talent. Now, that could be good. That last one is the most difficult one to create, because even the most advanced companies like Microsoft and Google and Facebook and Apple, they even their higher purpose is not really that well defined. You know what I mean? So that's an important piece. Right? Is your firm position to be something like that? And again, most candidates consider all six of these questions, but tend to place an unproportional weight in one specifically. Michael, what do you think about that? Is there more than one? Is more than six?
No,
Or,
these general categories are really spot on, and different places prioritize different places, different questions as an employer too, right? And so there are places like I would say the big four, big four public accounting firms. They all know that candidates go there, and a lot of college grads go there to get the name on the resume. They all know that. And frankly, they treat their employees because they know it that way. They know that's a reality, and the reality is not to try to keep every single college grad past the first few years. It is really, how do we maximize that time frame for them? The thing that you want to align your own recruiting efforts on, your own talent efforts on, is how do I communicate and ensure those who come and apply to my company, for example, Reconcile, how to make it really clear what we are prioritizing. So whether that's on your careers page, whether that's in the job ad, or whether that's in the interview process. And so, for example, one of the things we tell every candidate is, hey, we do not compete here on compensation. This will likely not be the highest offer you will get in the marketplace for your talents. We will say that pretty quickly. And especially if a candidate gets to interview with me at the final interview, I will tell them the offer you're going to get is not going to be the best offer out of all the other offers you're probably going to get. I'll tell you that right up front. But I will promise you, and we focus on really the last one, number 6, on the higher purpose. And then we also focus on, if you put second and third priority, granting of more freedom and helping them grow. That's our priority, right? In regards to level. But number 6, and so we'll say you're going to come to a place where you're going to feel like you're invested. You're going to feel like you're part of a bigger team. You feel like you have coworkers you've never worked with before that are amazing. You're going to love it here, and you're going to be challenged. So we're really upfront about that. And I think aligning how you hire really needs to align. These are great questions, aligned with, well, what questions are you prioritizing as an employer? Because then you're going to get the ideal candidate for yourself and for your company. And as you said, Hector, you're not placing any level of preference or morality around which of these are better. It's more of, what kind of company are you building? Right. And therefore, then you're going to relate to which question are you going to go after, because those are the candidates you're going to attract.
Absolutely. And you use a word that I like, which is you're going to be challenged. And I think the word challenge most of the time is seen as a sort of negative connotation, because a challenge is something that slows you down. Correct? I mean, that's how most people see it. That's what a challenge is. It's an obstacle in your journey, and you're saying you're going to be challenged, and you're saying it almost as if that is worth more than compensation. So could you explore on how you present that, how you present the value that a challenge, this is a nebulous term to a new hire, which is, what does that mean? So how do you present this thing that's not tangible, which is you will be challenged, as something that they're going to value more than the pay?
Well, so we probably all have friends and family members. They are bored to death at their jobs, right? They are bored, and they'll say the words, "I don't feel challenged." My boss doesn't challenge me. My coworkers have challenged me. The work itself, it's not challenging me anymore. It's mundane. It's the same every week, every month, especially if you're in accounting at a company. The same cycle, month-end close cycle happens every month, the same reconciliations. I don't feel challenged. They're not using the skills. I'm not learning anything new. So the way we position it is, hey, you're going to be challenged with new opportunities every day. You're going to learn new software you've never touched before. You're going to be on the cutting edge of cloud accounting software. There's new apps we're exploring every single day, every single month. You're going to have a set of clients, and those set of clients are going to come at you with questions and accounting questions that you've probably never thought about before. You're going to be asked at least once a month or once a week to do an entry you've never had to do before, right? So that's the kind of challenge. And for the right candidate, the one that aligns with what we want, right, the higher purpose, those candidates will get excited. The wrong candidate will go, oh, I kind of want to coast. I want a remote job to coast at home, and I want to watch Netflix in between calls. You don't want that candidate, right? We don't want that candidate. Maybe that there's a role you need where you do need somebody that can just coast because they just got to answer the phone and they just got to route calls. Okay, that makes sense. But for us, everybody's client facing at our company. Everybody's dealing with customers. So the challenge we present is you're not going to be bored at all. And for a lot of individuals, being bored, especially when you're isolated working remotely from home, being bored is a huge thing that people are dealing with right now. So you want to create an environment where, oh, wow, I'm always going to be challenged and not have to worry about being bored, and my skill sets are going to be stretched. That's how we present it positively.
Absolutely. So I put those six, I put, if whether the emphasis of that person is in one of those six questions, I put him into like the six persona. So we have the resume builder, we have the compensation motivated, we have the growth minded, we have the freedom seeker, we have the stability finder, and we have the purpose driven. Okay. So as you start, what I would like for you to do with this information is when you're doing interviews, I want you to ask enough questions that would allow you to place this candidate in one of these six categories. That way, when you go out there and try to match them up with the job that you're trying to put together, and you're thinking about what their 5-year plan looks like, and you're thinking about whether or not they're going to leave you in the next 5 years, what motivates them, and what your management style needs to be. And you have to reconcile all these things and see and understand, do I want to take this person on, right? That sort of thing, okay? All right, so the desired candidate, maybe we're looking for a stable employee that wants to grow and get compensated proportionally to the value they create to the firm, that also shares values and purpose with your firm and earns his freedom. And I mean extra additional freedoms, let's call that, not just regular freedom, but additional freedoms with balanced productivity, and values a long-term career in a great work environment over thinking the grass is greener in other firms. So if you can say that publicly and somehow attract people, that would be amazing. But that's not today's work environment. Today's work environment is, if you lead like that, people are going to say, dream on. Okay. But even though we might not be able to lead with this, we need to hire people that we can shape into this. Okay. So that's a really important thing. So as you talk to that person, you need to, in your mind, say, can this person be a stable employee that wants to grow and get compensated proportionally to the value they create, and also shares values and purpose with the firm, and gets extra freedom and flexibility, balanced with productivity, values long-term career, and is not thinking that the grass is always greener. So if you can't place that description onto that person, then it might be challenging to get someone that's long-term. Now, I have this slide, which we're going to skip, that basically has all the traits that we want from an employee, right? Which in having all these things is so difficult to find that at the end of the day, what I want to say is ideal candidates that are affordable are unicorns. So stop thinking of ideal candidates. That's the point I want to make. Okay. I want you to go back into this and read all this and go, yeah, of course, that's exactly who I want. And this ideal candidate scenario is a total unicorn. And top talent, which is someone that already comes with everything, is so expensive that you might not even get ROI. You have to have a lot of capital. They're very capital extensive. You know what? Just to give you an idea, when companies raise money, when these tech companies and businesses raise money, you know what the most of the money is used for? Is to try to recruit the CTO, the CEO, the CFO, all the top talented people from the firms that they want to beat. That's what the money is used for. Okay. Yes, some is for R&D. Yes, some is to acquire technology. Yeah, that's true. But Michael can tell you, who's been in this world, right, that immediately after that money comes in, it's like, okay, who we're going to bring in with this money? It's so incredible how important it is to invest in this top talent. And if you raise capital, yes, you can do that. So the point is that whether you find this unicorn ideal candidate or find this top talent, they need to have a clear path to what I'm calling partnership. Now, partnership, not always equity, but I'm saying partnership is how they feel. Okay. If they don't feel like a partner in your plan, partner in your purpose, partner in your in your progress and your growth, if they don't feel like a partner, they will leave you. They will. So ideal candidates and top talent, they will leave you. So what is top talent? Top talent comes with the experience necessary to get started immediately, comes with the certifications for the job, comes with maybe a book of business or a bunch of clients trying to follow that person. Okay. In the case of hiring maybe a CEO from another firm, they basically, that CEO comes with employees that want to follow them too. So that's what top talent is. Very difficult to get. I do not want to even attempt to help you get top talent. What I want to help you get is to get partner-like talent, which could come into your firm with nothing to offer as compared to a top talent. But a partner-like talent will grow with the firm and, most importantly, grow your firm. Okay? Top talent don't grow your firm. Top talent solves a short-term solution and they probably leave you. The ones that truly grassroots grow your firm are the partner-like talents that come even with no experience. And Michael can tell you that firsthand because he hired a lot of people with very low experience, and those people have helped them grow their firm. Do you have any particular examples you can give us, Michael, to like sort of bring home this concept?
Yeah. I mean, the the partner-like talent, I love that word. I love that phrase. You really want to try to find people who are bought in, and they're bought into the long-term success of your firm. Now, don't mix this up now, because a lot of bosses, especially those who are small, think the focus should be, I just need to hire somebody that's willing to do all the work so that I can go and enjoy my life. That is not enough. That's a not big enough vision for most people, right? To say, okay, you want me to do all the work and then you get to go have fun. That's not great. You really have to build this into, what are they doing? What's the grander vision for the company? What are they growing for the company? And that company could be the name of you. It could be the name of you, CPA, but still framing it in that framework of what are they doing to help you grow. And what I do find is those that you invest in, that you take the time to invest in, and those you give a shot to, that they probably wouldn't normally get this opportunity. They're likely to be the most loyal, especially if they're competent and they're understand the value of staying somewhere for a little longer period of time. And so there are individuals who have been with me for many years now. My firm's only 7 years old, and I've got individuals who've been with me for 4 or 5 years. And it's because I took a chance at them in the beginning. They came in entry level, and now they're director level, running departments, running teams, because they got on the ground floor when we were small and really now understand the business and are running the business.
And Michael, they don't have equity. They don't have equity in the firm, right? They don't have equity in the firm, just to clarify. Right. But they have ownership, right? Do they correct. They have ownership. And they really
feel like they represent the company. They represent the company. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying partner-like, because they have ownership, or they bring the ownership element without having to have equity per se. All right, so let's move on to that. Let's talk about now. This is the why. Now you should be convinced at this point that it's really, really important to come in with a strategy, understand how to identify people, what your goals should be. Let's talk about how we execute on this. So I think the best way to execute on this is to have a positioning statement. Just like you have a positioning statement for employees, you have a positioning statement for customers, having for employees. So for example, let's say my firm Cubic Key Accounting is a family-friendly bookkeeping firm specializing in remote bookkeeping services using QuickBooks Online for fast-growing e-commerce businesses. That sounds like a standard positioning statement, but I'm developing even further. We're looking for knowledgeable individuals, self-driven to learning new technologies in a fast-paced techie environment and get paid proportionally to the value they create. And the last one is, we believe our team has the ability to improve our clients' lives through relationship building and effective bookkeeping. Like Michael said, every employee is probably customer facing and every employee is relationship building. Okay, so what are the key phrases in that positioning statement that are the ones that the employee or the talent is going to pick up and have a connection with? So family friendly. I say family friendly because I believe I have 4 kids. I believe in family. I believe in that I will be a better employee, a better boss, a better leader if everything in my family is good, right? Because I'm not going to bring all the drama that comes from having issues with my family and not spending enough time with them or whatever it is. So family friendly means we're going to have flexibility when you need to do things with your family, and we're going to give you vacation time and all those things you can. Second one is we service our customers remote based. So we're completely open to having remote based employees because we're serving them the same way that our employees are serving us as a firm, right? And then I also, in the positioning statement that I'm giving to this potential candidate, I'm saying who the customers are, because if these people are against e-commerce or they're pro this or pro that, you don't want them to walk in already, thinking, having these negative thoughts about who the customer is. And maybe if they know a little bit about the industry, maybe that excites them even more, right? Because if it's a big 4 firm versus working with you, and a big firm says you're going to work with any type of clients, with anything, with any type of industry, maybe that candidate wants to learn a little bit of everything. But there might be some other candidates that love specializing and want to deep dive into one thing and can be good at one thing and one industry only. So you have to think about strategically how this stuff affects your hiring process. Then I have the word self-driven. I have self-driven there because honestly, I just don't have time to babysit people. I absolutely don't. So I want people that are already coming with the mindset that they're going to train themselves, okay? Or at least for the most part, they'll seek help, but they're going to find solutions on their own. They're going to get creative. They're going to think outside the box, all that stuff. Fast-paced techie environment. I'm setting the expectation that you're going to be learning a new thing every day. Just like Michael said, you're going to be challenged technologically wise. And I put get paid proportionally to the value they create, because I don't believe that people should get paid based on tenure. I believe those tenure-based annual increases are completely disaligned with what your purpose should be in the firm. Okay, so if you have an employee that can create value, that can increase the purse of total customers that they can bring in and serve without the need of an assistant or with the need of a low-level assistant, I think you should find ways to match compensation to the value they create. Okay. And that works downward too. It's not like they just got a raise because they brought in a new customer. The customer goes away, and that's difficult. That's a whole nother session. If we're going to talk about compensation and value-based pricing, quote unquote, based on salaries. That's going to be a lot more complex conversation, but at least get you thinking about whether or not it's important that people tie their compensation with the value they create. And the last piece is improve our customers' lives through relationship building. Also, someone that seems like a great technician, but then when it comes to employees, they're completely useless. To talking to customers, they're completely useless. So you have to set the expectation up front that you're looking for someone that is going to talk to people. Okay? Because if they don't talk to people, you talk to people. And then if you have to talk to everybody that your employee works with, that means you can't scale. It's very difficult for you to scale if you can't empower your employees to be the ones that are talking to people. Michael.
This is really, really great. And this is very similar, very succinct. This should be on your website. I think you should make it really clear to people. We do this in the form of a culture document. So if you go to our website, to our careers page, we actually have a 2-page culture document where we list our vision, our mission, our values, and our family rules. We talk about our family rules. And I'm happy to send a copy of that to anybody. And basically, it's a very, very succinct document that anybody can download, and they can see what is Reconciled about and what do they care about. And because of that, it allows us to attract candidates to our website, that you want the top 1 or 2 visits to your site to be your career page. You want to have a funnel of people that are coming to you just like they are to your customers are. So I really like it. It's very succinct, very specific, and very focused. And it makes it really clear the type of person that you're trying to attract.
Absolutely. So now let's talk about some tactics. These are specific tactics. Okay, this is the framework on all the things you're gonna think about, especially when it comes to putting that job posting together. Because attracting talent is a combination between the brand, your firm brand and reputation your firm has. In the cases like Michael said, the leader itself could also be a thing. I realize not everyone here is particular specifically as a leader, a social media person, that sort of thing. Michael and I like being on podcasts. We like talking. We like teaching. We like speaking in conferences. So as individual leaders, we could have a following that helps to attract talent. But assuming you're not that, then you want to make sure that your firm, as Michael said, in your website, in your social media, starts talking about the branding elements of the firm that needs to attract the talent. Okay, so all these techniques are going to be, all these tactics are going to be either whether you build them in as the brand of the firm or in the leader. Either one works. So let's go through them. So these 8 ways, and these are framed in the word cultures. So CULTURES. So some of these words are sort of modified to fit into those letters, but culture. So like the role of leaders is to build cultures. I mean, you can say a culture, but sometimes leaders have different roles in different places. But the job of a leader always is to build cultures, is to build the type of place that the best people want to work in and stay working in. Okay, that's culture. Okay, so compensation is one of 8 components. And the big challenge that most firms have is they lead with compensation. They're stuck with compensation. Like Michael said, when compensation negotiation comes into play, you actually entertain it, and you can't and you should not entertain it, right? It's one of 8 components that come into the table when it comes to attracting talent. So what is the branding element to this? Long story short is simply start by changing the name that you use or the label to call employees and what they call themselves and what they call each other. So in our world, they either call employee, staff, or team. And I would say definitely team is the better of employee and staff. And in our firm, we still call it team. But we're also thinking about what is this going to look like in the next couple of months. We're going to shift this. There are some alt terms we're thinking about. So collaborators, it could be one. Client mentors could be another one. Value builders could be another one. Confidence builders, because at the end, having accurate financial statements, all it does is gives the business owners confidence to make the next big decision to run their business, right? Profit keepers. So just get creative with what you want to call each other, and there's so much culture building just through that name. Don't believe me? I think every one of you knows what Disney employees call each other. Cast members. They're not employees, they're not staff, they're not team, they're cast members. And there's an entire culture around the fact that they are putting on a play for their employees. For their customers. They are putting on a performance for their customers. And they're all performers, they're all cast members in the greater purpose of delivering happiness to their customers. So the best way to do that is to just change that. You change that, and that becomes the catalyst.